I still remember the exact sound his shoe made when it hit my ankle, that dull thud mixed with the scrape of tile right in the middle of a crowded mall. He didn't even look back at first, just barked, "Watch where you're going, you worthless mess," like I was furniture, like I didn't exist. People turned. Some laughed. Some pretended not to see it. And for half a second, I felt that old reflex kick in, the one that told me to shrink to apologize even when I'd done nothing wrong. But this time, something was different. I didn't bend. I didn't move. I just stood there breathing, feeling my heart steady itself because I knew something he didn't. And that's where this story really begins. A few years earlier, I left this town with 2 suitcases and a reputation I didn't earn. My ex, Marcus, had made sure of that. He was charming in public, cruel in private, the kind of man who knew exactly how to press your softest spots and then smile when you broke. When I finally walked away, he didn't just lose a girlfriend, he lost control, and he made sure everyone knew I was the unstable one, the problem, the girl who couldn't handle real life. People believed him. You know how that goes. It's easier to believe the confident voice than the quiet one. So I disappeared. I rebuilt myself piece by piece, somewhere no one knew, my past, somewhere I could breathe. Years later, life surprised me. I met someone who didn't need to dominate the room to be powerful. Someone calm, observant, patient. We fell in love slowly, like adults do when they've both been burned before. I didn't even change my name online. I didn't post photos. I kept my old life separate. Not out of shame, but out of peace. When we married, it wasn't a spectacle, just a promise. And then my mother got sick, and I had to come back. Walking into that town again felt like stepping into a memory that never aged. Same streets, same looks, same assumptions. I kept my head down, stayed quiet. My plan was simple. Visit my mom, handle what I needed to handle, leave. No drama, no explanations. But people like Marcus don't disappear when you ignore them. They wait. The first time I ran into him again, it was at a grocery store. He looked me up and down, smirked, and said, "Wow, didn't expect to see you back. Guess things didn't work out." I smiled politely and walked away. That alone seemed to irritate him. The second time was worse. That was the mall. That was the shove. That was him calling me nothing in front of strangers like it was entertainment. What Marcus didn't see was the black car pulling up outside a few minutes later. He didn't notice the way conversations died mid-sentence, the way security straightened, the way the air shifted. I did. 3 men stepped out, not flashy, not aggressive, just purposeful. They scanned the crowd until their eyes landed on me. One of them approached, nodded respectfully, and said, "Ma'am, we're here to escort you." He said my married name out loud. Clear, calm, unmistakable. Marcus turned white. He laughed nervously like this was some kind of joke. "Who are these guys?" he asked. I looked at him, then really looked at him and said, "My husband sent them." The word husband landed like a slap. People whispered. Phones came out. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again, but nothing came out that made sense. That should have been the end of it, but men like him don't stop when they lose face. They double down. Later that night, he found me again, cornered me near a quieter wing of the mall. He leaned in close and whispered, "You think marrying rich makes you better than me. I know who you really are." I laughed, actually laughed, because for the first time his words didn't have power. "You know who I used to be," I said, "not who I am." That's when my husband arrived. No rush, no drama. Just walked up, stood beside me, and asked, "Is there a problem?" Marcus tried to spin it, of course. Said it was a misunderstanding, said I was exaggerating, said I'd always been dramatic. My husband didn't argue. He just looked at me and asked one question. "Did he touch you?" I nodded. That was it. The conversation was over. Security footage came out later. Witnesses spoke up. Turns out, when you stop shrinking, people notice the truth more clearly. Marcus was escorted out, still shouting insults, still trying to hurt me with words that no longer fit. The crowd watched him go, and I stood there, realizing something important. Winning isn't about humiliating someone who hurt you. It's about not needing their approval anymore. But here's the part that still stings. After all that, my own family pulled me aside and asked, "Why didn't you tell us you married someone so powerful? Not are you happy, not are you safe. Just why didn't you tell us?" That hurt more than Marcus ever did. It reminded me how deeply we're trained to measure worth by status, by money, by who stands next to you instead of who you are. I left town again a few days later, this time with my head high. On the drive home, my husband reached for my hand and said, "I'm proud of you." And I realized I was proud of myself too. Not because I married well, not because my ex looked small, but because I stood still when the world expected me to fold. So here's my question for you. When someone's past is used against them, who decides if they've changed? When a quiet person finally stands up. Why do we call it shocking instead of overdue? And if you witnessed something like this, would you speak up or would you look away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them. And if this story hit something real for you, share it, subscribe, and let's talk about how many people we've misjudged just because they didn't fight back out loud.